Publication is really important to a scientist because it's the way that you get to tell the world what you've done and what you think it means.
To help researchers understand how to get published, Nature Research has developed Nature Masterclasses, a training service delivered by Nature Research journal editors. The online course from Nature Masterclasses is comprised of 15 modules that cover all aspects of scientific writing and publishing.
There are 3 simple rules that you can follow that are the ABCs of writing style.
When you want to mark a point on a plot, you don't need to overdo it.
Now between yes and no, there's maybe.
Because the course is delivered by editors from the Nature Research journals, researchers get a real insight into the perspective of professional editors.
This paper is a Nature paper for a number of reasons.
The course is available to institutions and can be combined with Nature Masterclasses workshops and webinars.
Today, Paul Donovan from Nature Masterclasses is going to be talking about how to access the Nature Masterclasses platform and some of the challenges you might encounter as you're going through it. And he's just going to walk us through the whole platform. And there are not going to be any specific content-related questions here that we can answer later on, or what we can do is we can do another event where we can bring in students and postdocs who've been using Nature Masterclasses on a regular basis. They can come and talk about their experiences, share their experiences. But with that, I'll give it to Mike Mulligan. Thanks, Mike, for taking a lead on this and helping us keeping on track to make sure that this happens. It's a great platform. I mean, I cannot say enough to make use of this platform. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this program. I should start by thanking Harinder and Paul Donovan for organizing the webinar and hosting it. The program, Dickie Hertel and I fund the program by paying the subscription, and we've done it for a number of years. And it was really extremely unutilized. I tried to promote it, but handing it to Harinder with GPS STEM, it's been so much better. So I thank Harinder for all his help. This is really a great program. It's an excellent opportunity for you to engage in professional development and academic writing. It's run by Nature journals. It's got little video clips from the editors-in-chief of all the Nature journals and things like that. Paul will walk you through sort of the structure, I think. It's got this modular structure where you can pick and choose different kinds of activities that you want to complete, from conception of a project, preparation of a manuscript, submission to the journal, dealing with the editorial comments from the editor and reviewers' comments. So it's really an outstanding program, and it's a perfect thing to do in this times of COVID-19 restrictions. It dovetails nicely with other writing activities that are being offered within the School of Bioscience, School of Medicine. There's a bunch of grant writing activities. Some of them are academic courses in individual departments. Professor Fruman's going to offer something this summer, which will help assist students in writing F31 pre-doctoral fellowship proposals. We have other activities for postdocs and transitioning to faculty positions. And so this is actually an important piece in a bigger plan. So anyway, I thank you all for participating, and please make best use of this platform. Harinder, back to you.
Right, thank you, Mike. That was awesome. Paul, now this is all yours. I see that you are able to share your slides. Please go ahead and start, and I'll keep track of all the questions in chat. So audience, any questions, please write down in the chat. If the question is relevant to the slide which Paul is talking about, I'll maybe briefly interrupt him and ask right there, or we can always have Q&A in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Harinder. Thank you, Mike. To be honest, with that introduction, I think you've probably presented the best solution that I'd want to subscribe to anyway. We want to talk about Nature Masterclasses. We're very proud of it. We're very proud of who Nature actually are, and we would just want to ensure that we can present the expertise of our editors and the skills and the knowledge that they actually have And we need to find a platform to be able to do that. And we think we found that with the, to the widest possible audience with Nature Masterclasses online. So here is the brief agenda. Sorry, should I say, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Good. Right. So you can, the brief agenda that we've got, we just wanted to give an introduction about Masterclasses and its history, how you get registered, how you use the course. This is an important part because it could be a subscribed course, or, you know, it could be just a re-education in certain particular areas, or, you know, a re-evaluation of skills that you may not have. So it's about how you want to use the course. The additional features that the course has got, which are just additional elements that makes it just more an interactive platform. And my favourite part is the Q&A, because I always like the fact is that, you know, there is that level of engagement, and hopefully I will be able to answer some of those questions that you may have. So what is Nature Masterclasses? So we originally started doing face-to-face activities, which is a strange concept to say during, you know, this current period. Yeah, we used to go out and visit people. And it's starting in 2011, we started those courses, and we were essentially reaching 25 to 30 people. And they were normally a 2-day course with nature editors in place, understanding the specific topics that were asked to be created. But we wanted to have that wider reach. So we looked at an online platform. And so the first course was released in 2015. And the course that you subscribe to is actually scientific writing publishing. So that's important to understand. That's the elements that we're going to be talking about today. And it's a 3-part course with how we've broken it down into those parts is where before we were looking to have an overall completion. We've broken it down into smaller modules, and within those modules, small bite-sized chunks. So we've got a 3-certificate course. And again, it's more about the fact is that there are lessons and videos has already been described, and activities that take place. And, you know, we've put this, what could be described as a facetious comic. So the way that we look at it is that these consumable chunks can take place at any point. So if there is a journey that you're undertaking, or if you're in the lab, I know it's different at the moment, you know, people have got a lot more time, you know, directly in front of their PC. So it is something that we built in relation to what the old world order actually was. But the idea is that you can consume these rather than having to start a course. You have to complete it for an exhaustive amount of time. The idea is that these small modules are completed. But what we're looking to do is for you to build confidence in writing journals and understanding the editorial process and submitting papers and peer review. So those are the skills that this particular course has got. We've got a short video here. I hope the sound is going to work. Sometimes it doesn't, but I've got a new way of doing that. So let me just introduce why some of the nature editors think that Nature Masterclasses is a value proposition. Okay.
Publication is really important to a scientist because it's the way that you get to tell the world what you've done and what you think it means. If you spent your entire time in your lab doing research, getting lovely data, having very clever ideas about what it means, but never told anyone, you'd be completely wasting your time. Science exists, it progresses by one set of work being built upon somebody else's. So it's really important that you communicate your science. The way we do this is through journal publications. You can think of a journal publication as one brick in the wall of scientific advance. And therefore, it's crucial that you do this thing well. It's also very important for your careers because scientists are judged by the papers that they produce, because really the output, the final product of scientific research isn't the data, it is the paper. Because that's the thing that gets archived, that's the thing that carries on into the world, that's the thing that people build upon. There are ways of storing data, but journal publication right now is the most important way that we communicate what we've done in our research and what we think it means.
But what Nature Masterclasses is created with is the collaboration of over 36 editors. This 36 is based upon the Scientific and Writing and Publishing course, but actually with the other courses that we have, that number has actually increased. And those 36 editors are from 20 Nature research journals. And as I mentioned, they're offering their expertise, their skills. So it isn't just a case of hearing one individual partake or present their views. It's more of a case of having the whole team at Nature presenting those ideas to everybody. And the idea of this particular course is to allow that maximum reach of that knowledge to be able to be provided to everybody. And again, it's all authored and reviewed by the Nature Journal editors, and you're learning the practical techniques that they have and they use every single day in developing their writing skills. And it's important to be aware of that these are the things. These aren't classroom exercises. These are the tasks and these are the approaches that they're applying every single day. So we can look at the breakdown of the three elements of the course. Writing a research paper, publishing, and writing and publishing a review paper. And you can see underneath those, you've got the makeup of the actual element. So the first part is 75 minutes, but it isn't a case of you start and 75 minutes later it's completed. Within that first section, the second section are the bite-sized chunks that we talk about. And that's where we look at this particular model and we think about it in regards to, we can't present a mandated course for everybody. It's more of a case of what you want out of the course. So if it's a case that you want to understand an individual element, it could be that's the part that you go to. So you don't need to go from part 1 to part 2. If you want to look at plagiarism, that's the section that you want to look at, then you have that ability to go there straight away. Or it could be a case that you may be interested in one individual editor and their views. So again, that's the element that you would be going to. There is another video, which is a more broad conversation about Nature Masterclasses. I'm not going to attempt to get this to work today. I think we've just established after the last couple of minutes that video isn't working. But once we distribute this out, that will be available embedded in the PowerPoint. I think it's more to do with the Zoom part. We want to talk about getting registered. Some of you may have registered before. Some of you haven't. But how your institution access works is based upon the IP address range. So we have we've got noted the IP address range of the institute. So as long as you're within the campus or you're connected via a VPN, once you've registered that first time, you can operate the course anywhere, but it's about the registration within the campus IP environment is the important part. So once you make that registration, you do need to be connected to the institution's IP and register aid. But outside of that, that's not a particular issue. The only stipulation actually is within the life of the course, you essentially the system has to acknowledge the fact is that 6 months in, you're in again. You don't need to re-register, but at some point in, you do need to log in through your institution's IP address range. So again, that's important. So at the moment, I'm sure you're using a VPN to access everything, so it won't be an actual issue. This is one of the benefits of the course. You don't need to be tied to the institution's LAN. You can be on the WAN. Well, as I said, it's through the institution, and as I just mentioned there, I sort of jumped ahead. You just need to make sure that you do connect via VPN at least months after you've registered during the 12-month period of the actual course. When you log in on the first time, you've got just the simple Masterclasses email address that you use, and on the top right-hand side, you would just select register, as you can see there from the main page that's at the bottom. And you enter your email and you set a password, like any normal online registration. There is a two-step part of it. You would have to accept the privacy policy. Then you're going to receive an email of confirmation. Once you've registered that, then you can go back, fill in some slight more detail, and then you've got access to the course. But of course, we might not be a part and parcel of your spam. Your spam approval list. So if you don't receive the confirmation letter, then we would always check that you look in your junk folder just to make sure that we are actually there. But here we go. That's what essentially the link is, the link email that you're going to receive. And you can see there in the blue section, you're going to confirm that registration now. Once you've clicked in, you'll be redirected to the Masterclasses site. You can now navigate to the course. So you can see on the page what we have at the moment are 3 courses that are available. Irvin has subscribed to the Scientific and Writing and Publishing course, and the new course that we published last year, Effective Collaboration. That isn't available for you at the moment. That's something that you would need to be discussed at a later date. But the focus on peer review is a free to access course, so you've got that available to you as well. So Scientific and Writing and Publishing is the course that you would be choosing. And then essentially you could select on the course name as already discussed. Once you access the course, there are some other bits of information that we required. And the reason why we need that is just ensuring that we can track your progress during the course, because part and parcel of the process is making sure that activity, you know, and the value for money that the institution is actually paying for is being reviewed. So having that information, so again, some very, very simple details so we can identify you as an individual and how you're achieving. So again, that is those elements on the profile page will need to be completed as well. And then essentially, because you've registered, when you go back to the site, instead of register, you would just need to log in. So very, very simple online online login processes that you actually have that I'm sure that you're familiar with, but we just want to make sure that you can do that. And obviously understanding how the fact is that you need to undertake this when you first log in with either within the campus, which I assume you wouldn't be doing at the moment, or through the campus's VPN. You've got the account setting page. So if you wanted to personalize any element of you, or if you needed to change certain particular parts or your password, you've got the My Page section where you can view and update your data in there. Again, very, very simple online processes that you actually have. So that registration's taken place. You've accessed the course. You've gone on the Scientific and Writing and Publishing choice. And it's once you're signed in, as I've already demonstrated, you're using the home page or via one of the menus. And then you can actually see the elements that I described earlier on. So you've got the breakdown of the 3 courses at the bottom, or the 3 modules. So starting with what makes a paper great to writing and publishing a review paper. So essentially, you've got 15 modules that I've discussed. And within those 15 modules, you've got the individual breakdown of small sections that they may take. So the average time that we think that this would take is 11 hours. You know, if we combined everything, essentially it's 11-hour course. So we do know that nobody's going to be doing it. Hence this dip in and dip out particular approach that we suggest for a lot of people. And again, as I discussed earlier on, we've tried to make it as interactive as possible, and we're talking about it from videos and activities, and making sure that, you know, it isn't just a narrative that you're doing all the work by completing it. It's more of a case of understanding something and a follow-up with an activity. And you can see that there's a progress indicator as and when you complete each part of the particular course. And as I said already, the fact is that once you complete each of the modules, there would be a certificate that's made available to you. As you would expect, there's subtitles or closed captions that are available, and transcripts for the videos as well. So for anybody that learns, I have to admit that I've got a little bit older now. I've put the subtitles on most things now, and I think I get a little bit more out of it. So there's that ability at the bottom of the screen to be able to put those subtitles on, or closed captions, I think they're called in the United States. And again, you can get a transcript of what's actually presented in the videos as well. So that's available through the settings page. So this is where we suggest an approach, but I think it's an individual style that you want. Very few organisations that we work with mandate this as a course, because we think the benefit will be using it as an additional learning tool to be able to refocus, to re-energize, or to re-educate on particular topics that you may be familiar with, or present you with something new. So using the modules to relate where you are currently in your research life cycle. So as I said, is it something that you just jump to plagiarism because you're at that part of your writing process, or if it's something that you completely unfamiliar with, you may want to take the linear progression. But the idea is that you could be looking at it from a style of an editor that you admire, or an element in regards to the writing process that you need to become more familiar with. And again, you've got the Track Your Progress course. So again, you could be looking at it from how much you have completed and whether you want to use this opportunity or the time that you may have available to just complete the course outright. Another element is just about course completion. Some people, as I say, they look at it in regards to they want to undertake it, but it is all dependent upon the style that's actually there. And we've got it personalised in your individual dashboard as well. We talked about the certificate that's unlocked. So where before you had one certificate, what we've broken it down to is 3 certificates. So after the element of each course complete, or each module, you can then download a course that actually presents you with a downloadable certificate that you can put up on your lab wall or put up on your office wall. We think it's a valuable part to show the effort that's actually been achieved, and we do think that a lot of people will get value out of that. I'm going to stop it there for some questions about course access and course content. Has anyone got anything that they want to ask about what's been presented before?
So we have a couple of questions, and they are UCI related. Maybe we can see what you think, and then one of us can jump in. Okay. Sarah says, I registered with my UCI email while on UCI VPN and can't access anything.
Okay. Did you say Sarah?
Yeah.
If I give my email, Sarah, you can email me and I'll get your individual problem resolved. I probably couldn't say what it is at the moment.
Yeah, that's fine, and it's not the more interesting part. So thank you, I appreciate that.
That's okay. That's not a problem.
Great.
We have one more question from Colleen. If you're tempted to register off campus, not on a VPN, and the system tried to charge you, will you be able to bypass this later when you are on campus to re-register under UCI program?
If you tried to register off campus, you wouldn't be able to authenticate, so you wouldn't be given access to the course, and essentially you wouldn't be able to get that registration email, that second part that would come through. You do need to be contained within either the campus itself or connected via a VPN. But we can help you. Again, take my email address afterwards, and we can help you with that. It's a difficult one because this is the access method that you've chosen and you've been working with. It's obviously a little bit different at the moment where people might not have that VPN. There are other access methods, but unfortunately it's one of those things when you make that commitment, or when the institution made that commitment on access approach, that's really what we had, where certain particular other people have almost like a code that they are providing, which they validate as well. But I'm sure that there's something that we can do if you're stuck off campus and without access to your VPN. But it might mean that I need to log a technical call to get that to get your details registered rather than through the registration page.
It wasn't just to finish up that question. It wasn't that I can get back on campus. I'm worried that I messed up by trying to register.
We can reset that account. So essentially, we could wipe you from that. That attempt that didn't work from you. If it is blocking you from accessing, then again we can just take you off that database, and reapplying that information again would start you afresh.
Okay, I just didn't want my email account to be already blocked as off campus.
No, understood.
So do I have to contact you then to fix that? Or?
Yeah. As I say, I'll just log it with the customer services team. But yeah, it might be easier with my email address, which I can provide at the end for everybody. Any other questions?
We have two questions. We have one question from Mitra. Should we only use UCI email to register, or we can use personal email to register? I guess the answer is yes, right? Or
yes, you can use personal email because it isn't linked to your email domain, but it's about whether you can use whether that's a setup of your institutional access. So the answer is potential, but I would imagine that your institutional access is also linked to your institutional email account as well. So I don't know how it's set up, but my advice would be use your institutional email address. But if you're set up where personal emails are accessible, then you can use that as well because you're contained within that VPN. You're contained within that campus environment.
great. Carl had a question, and then I think it got resolved. But let me just read it so that people can, use the same steps to resolve it. He had a question. I'm seeing the same thing. I was able to register, but it says I don't have access when I go to the course. But I guess he did something. He logged out and logged back in, and now he's able to access the course.
I'm going to take that one as a win for me because I explained it so well that Carl was able to resolve the issue. But I'll take that as a win. I'll take that as a win for me today. Thank you for that. We can talk about the additional features here. So some of the things that we like to subscribe is you've got a training course here, but it's also about your access to be able to speak to the editors that have created the actual content. So there is a blog. We've got an element that talks about the individual. They call them experts. I think that's a bit. I know some of these people. The editors that have actually created the content as well. So you can understand where their background comes from, and obviously what they've actually published as well. So we've got that particular section as well. So you can look at the 36 that have been assigned to this particular course. And I mentioned earlier on, the current course that you're subscribed to is Scientific Writing and Publishing. We launched our second course, Effective Collaboration, at the near the tail end of 2020, and that's been successful. We've got a roadmap because we know that the platform is working and there's an appetite for it to deliver 2 additional courses in 2020 and 3 courses in 2021, 2022. And we're looking at different models, but potentially a subscription model where access to the entire course is there. But for now, scientific writing and publishing is available, but we've also got the free course on peer review. It's a smaller course, and it just gives everybody the understandings of what the responsibilities are within peer review, or if there's elements that you need to understand in relation to ethics or innovation. So that's available to you as well as another part of the course access. And then we've got the FAQs, as you would expect. Some of the questions that may have been asked could be answered in this particular part, but it's got more general comments in regards to what's available. But then we've also got the customer services details as well. So customer services is available 24 hours a day because of essentially the global nature of Springer. Of Nature. So it's more of a case that if there is a problem, you can have access to people 24 hours. Oh, I sort of got to questions a little bit early, but I like the questions section. So has anyone got anything in relation to either how they would suggest accessing the course or course approaches? Anything that you would want to talk to me about while you have me on the line?
So Mary had a resolution for, and I do remember that conversation. One student was having problem with accessing course via VPN. So she said when that person had a problem, he changed his VPN to UCI full from UCI default. So go into your VPN, if the settings are UCI default, change it to UCI full, and that should work. So be sure to use that. It's VPN full.
Okay.
So hope that answers some of the questions which might be coming up soon.
I'm not going to take that one as a win. That's
We'll take care of it.
That's completely down to you, that one.
Hi, everyone. This is Mary Frances. Yeah, I went back in my files thinking, how did that person solve the problem? So wanted to add that. I work in the School of Medicine Office of Research, and one great thing about UCI is we offer a lot of resources. And I am thinking of those of you who are writing career development awards, you know, on F31, 32, K99, anything like that. You need to write about institutional environment and your career development plan. So be sure to take advantage of the Nature Masterclass and include that in your plan. Often the career development plans, you need details versus I want to be a better person. You know, this could be a very clear detail, and you could even outline, you know, your plan for completing all 3 modules, you know, 1 month for each module, something specific like that.
That's really good point, Mary. What you can, because you also have to submit not really a formal IDP, but, you know, IDP sort of a format for what your career plans are. So you can always mention that these are the courses you plan to take. And once you have that, if you already have finished all that and you have a certificate, that's something really good to showcase that you've gone through all this and now you're way ahead in the game. So please make use of this opportunity.
And I did not know about that free peer review course. So thank you for sharing that. That's great.
Yeah. No problem. I mean, we try and make content available as much as possible, and I think, you know, we do reach out to long-standing customers to even test some of the newer courses. So that might be something that we, you know, we might want to talk to you about in the future. We want to get that feedback and making sure that we're doing the right thing. But essentially, the peer review is part and part. You know, it's a fundamental in relation to research and making sure that everybody's got that accessible. It just gives everybody that, you know, reassurance that, you know, not only is that we're looking at it from a commercial perspective, but also we're thinking about it from a development perspective as well. So yeah, it could be a case that more free elements get applied as we look at this particular model. You know, it sounds like it's 5 years, but actually it is in its infancy, as you know, essentially. And this outbreak has reassessed everybody's view on training or view on it. So yeah, that's created more of a momentum for us to make sure that our courses that we plan to deliver this year, you know, are coming out, because, you know, we've had more and more requests to be able to provide this to institutions such as yourself.
Thank you.
We have a question from Martina. Maybe Mary, we can answer that. How many students can be included in the lab subscription? Is there a tab, like a cap on that?
You've got, I'm going to jump in there. You've got an institutional solution. So an institutional subscription, so it's unlimited.
Yeah, because I think Martina says online, it says that there's 15 minutes at the start, but we can contact you to expand that. So how many is the maximum? Okay, so got answers. Great.
Yeah, so lab is essentially a course access. So as you can imagine, there are probably an average of 15 people in the lab. So that's a smaller course access model, and then we just, you know, we expand it based upon the request for you as an organisation, as an institutional access model, which essentially means, as I've described, anybody that is on campus through the VPN has access to the course.
This is another question which is totally out of the blues, but maybe an interesting one to answer. Says, does getting a Nature Masterclasses online programming certificate would help me to get published in Nature?
Well, depending upon the paper.
True.
No, it doesn't give you a leg up, but you know, essentially, you know, this isn't we're not a regulated body. But I think what we hope is the fact is that if you've undertaken the learning approaches that the editors suggest, then by default, by getting the certificate, you've increased your chances of being published in Nature. But it isn't a case of it gives you a fast track to that publication. It's more of a case of you've attained a standard, and we hope that standard is maintained. So when you are being reviewed, while you don't have to mention the course completion, we hope that the quality of the submission would be equal to what's actually required. So it doesn't give you that fast track, but we hope by understanding and retaining that learning, you would qualify, that paper would qualify because of the course that you've undertaken.
Great. So in your previous slides, there was, I think when you open it, says somewhere on the website, professional development training. Is that different from the Nature Masterclasses on publication peer review, or that's the same as that?
Well, that's more of the face-to-face activity.
Okay.
So yeah, that we do journal consultancies as well, where we would work with somebody on an individual submission and discuss on particular topics how that would actually work. But again, that funny enough, we're moving that to a more virtual discussion. But that is something that we're embryonic, when normally it's part and parcel of a face-to-face where one of our experienced editors and trainers would actually sit and discuss that with you. And part and parcel of a general masterclass would be the review of papers with the editors. So there is time set aside for that. So that's more of a face-to-face activity.
Mike has a comment that institutional subscription offers access that includes undergrad, grads, and postdocs, academic research, and faculty. So it should be anyone who has UCI affiliation. UC affiliation should have it.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Great. I think we don't have any more questions right now. If you have any, you can type in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask that question. Just make sure the dog is not barking in the background. Mike, are you still online? Did you have to say anything in the end? Was there anything you're looking for?
This has been great. I thank Paul. I don't have any further comments. It's been a good discussion. And like I said, I hope you all make good use of this. Thanks.
Great.
So yeah, access is available. The course, your current subscription, I think, is finishing in a couple of months, but there is already an ongoing conversation, as already mentioned, about retaining that and hopefully extending it, for a longer period and maybe increasing that. He says very subtly. But from our perspective, using the course, gives us great satisfaction to know that people are actually using it. A lot of time has been spent preparing it, and we just want to make sure that everybody that's using it is gaining something from it. So please access the course now. If you've got any difficulties, I'm going to give my email address now, and I can answer those individual requests for you. But from our perspective, the more that you use the course, I think the more beneficial it will actually be. But we don't want it to be mandated. If it's something you want to dip in, you want to learn something new or something you want to revisit, then please, using that particular module approach is a really good way, because you don't have to follow that linear style. But please use the course. As I say, it's a great tool. I love the endorsement that was provided earlier on, and I hope that long may our partnership continue.